Coming up on today's episode of Airborne Unlimited, the Antique Airplane Association is under new leadership. An embattled Blue Angel leader gives thanks to his supporters, and a new Triplane is a bioelectric hybrid aircraft. Welcome to Airborne Unlimited. I'm Ashley Hale. 61 years ago, Robert L. Taylor, pilot and mechanic, saw the future and saved the past. He formed the Antique Airplane Association in Ottumwa, Iowa, at a time when many of the airplanes we now consider to be classics hadn't even been built yet. Now, after 6 decades of serving as the Antique Airplane Association's president, the board of directors has elected pilot, mechanic, and AAA executive director Brent Taylor to become the new president. Robert L. Taylor may have handed over the reins, but you'll still find him at home on Antique Airfield in Blakesburg, Iowa, making sure this new kid keeps the antiques flying. ANN congratulates Brent Taylor and wishes him well in his new position. We look forward to many more years of the Antique Airplane Association supporting aviation's heritage. On June 2, 2014, the Navy's Blue Angels commanding officer, Captain Gregory McWherter, was found guilty of violating Uniform Code military justice articles that led to a non-judicial punishment in the form of a punitive letter of reprimand. This ignited a firestorm of negative commentary, mostly against the Navy, for a process that was labeled as flawed, one-sided, politically motivated, and based on questionable evidence. ANN's Jim Campbell wrote in part, quote, "One of the most distressing events of 2014 may have been found in our observation of the U.S. Navy's investigation and judgment of someone who had once been one of that service's most lauded flyers and commanding officers," end quote. Through it all, McWherter has remained silent, but now a Facebook posting on a page created to show support has published his first comments, which expressed his gratitude. In the posting, McWherter wrote in part, quote, "I wanted to take a moment to thank everyone for the amazing support provided to my family over the past 8 months and beyond. From loved ones and friends to squadron mates, shipmates, airshow family, and especially our Blue Angels teammates, the response has been overwhelming. Thank you," end quote. After the break, is another triplane in our future?
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird X-Wind SE and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulations.com.
AML's patent-pending wireless induction charging system eliminates confusion over those charging cables, cuts down cockpit cable clutter, and allows you and your passengers to fly cordless and eliminate the cable nightmare. www.aviationmodificationleaders.com.
Welcome back. Well, we love getting story suggestions from our viewers, so if you have one, you can send it along to news-by@aero-news.net. When someone says triplane, something from Fokker in the early part of the last century immediately comes to mind. However, the 3-wing configuration has been resurrected for an airplane that may someday fly on solar panels and biofuel. They call the plane a bioelectric hybrid aircraft. The company, Farad Air, says the triplane design gives the airplane enough wing area to carry enough solar panels to generate electricity from the sun, as well as enough lift to allow the airplane to operate from most airports. It also uses wind turbines to generate electricity both on the ground and in flight. The airplane is expected to cost north of $1 million should it ever enter production. Every Tuesday, we're going to start looking ahead at some of the most interesting events in the aviation universe. Here's this week's Aero-Calendar. The Academy of Model Aeronautics is holding their AAA Expo 2015 on January 9th through the 11th in Ontario, California. The latest equipment will be on display, including flying displays of vertical lift UAVs. Women's Aviation Career Day will be held on January 17th in Williamson, Georgia at the Peach State Aerodome. An esteemed panel of 12 women who are leaders in their fields will share their experiences in a variety of aviation-related careers. The EAA B-17 aluminum overcast will make a stop in Jacksonville, Florida at Cecil Airport on January 9th. The event is hosted by EAA Chapter 193 and rides will be available. The EAA Ford Trimotor will stop in Ocala, Florida at the Ocala National Airport on January 15th. The event is hosted by EAA Chapter 812 and rides are available. After these messages, China has produced its first Mooney aircraft.
ADS-B will be mandatory for most aircraft by 2020 in the United States, but you can benefit from ADS-B today with the Bendix King KT-74 Mode S transponder. The KT-74 meets the global mandates for ADS-B out when attached to a suitable WAAS GPS. Finally, the extraordinary story of the world-changing XPRIZE space competition is being told and illustrated with hundreds of insider photos in Jim Campbell's colorful new book, Beyond the Blue. Journey with Jim as he flies formation with spaceships, plays in zero gravity, prepares rocket racers, and documents the amazing first decade of the personal space race. Available this summer. Get your advance order in now by checking out www.kindredspirit.com.
Welcome back. Well, with so much news coming out of the aviation industry, we're summarizing some other interesting stories in a brief segment we call Around the Patch. The first Mooney M20 TN airplane to be manufactured in China has rolled off the company's assembly line. Mooney was purchased by the Chinese Meijing company last year, and it's reported that 17 Moonies have been ordered for use in China. It looks like videos of musical instruments being bashed by airplane baggage handlers has led to a rule change. Musical instruments may now be carried in the cabin. However, if your instrument is a bass fiddle, you'll have to buy an extra seat. A 7-year-old girl was the sole survivor of the crash of a Piper Seneca that crashed near Paducah, Kentucky. She walked through the woods to locate a house in the remote area where she found help. Her survival is astonishing. 30 highly respected industry leaders and professionals have formed Stangarone Associates as a broad-based business consultancy that specializes in aviation, aerospace defense, and air travel. The company will provide a broad range of client services around the world. Airbus Helicopters, AgustaWestland, and Sikorsky have all jumped into the competition that will lead to a contract worth an estimated $3 billion to assemble 70 multi-purpose helicopters for the Polish Army. Let the bidding war begin. Well, that's it for a trip around the patch. Now let's move on to the rest of the news. Here's an update about the Pegasus Oh engine planned for experimental aircraft. What started out to be a cut-in-half Oh Continental kit-built engine has now progressed to the point of using mostly new fabricated parts based on the Oh design. The engine designer, Pete Plum, has been able to improve performance and reduce weight. In a recent blog posting, Plum says he's been meeting with foundries and machine shops and expects to be ordering the first batch of parts for 100 units in the early part of this year. He said the Marvel Schebler carburetor is working well, and they're looking at a custom version of that carburetor for this engine. He He said a pre-production prototype should be running soon, and he hopes to have airplanes flying with the Pegasus Oh installed at EAA AirVenture 2015. Well, that's our program for Tuesday, January 6th. Remember to get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at Aero-News.net. Remember that Airborne Unlimited is now streamed daily Monday through Friday. Please join us in a growing roster of over 100 outstanding industry associations and organizations every weekday for the best in aviation and aerospace news. I'm Ashley Hale, thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.